Okay, before I go over my markups for internal analysis tools, brief update. I had two different banking contacts in mind for bringing in to talk to the class, and one of them I really like. He's a good personal friend of mine from back in Cincinnati. He's now the CEO of a not-for-profit there, but he used to be a VP with U.S. Bank. But since we're in Bakersfield, not in Cincinnati, I was really interested in finding somebody local to speak with us as well. And I just confirmed that we're going to have a speaker from Mission Bank come in and talk live as well. So that was the phone call that I was doing when I first came into the room. I think that was the last one that was a question mark. So now I can send you guys the email with the description of all the speakers, and then you can email me. You can email me when I'll make it Saturday instead of Friday. Since it's Wednesday already right now, I just need the questions before the end of the weekend so I can send them to all the speakers in case somebody's going to be speaking on Monday, so they have enough time to read over the questions. Okay, so I'll send you guys an email soon with the description of all the speakers. Just go in, write up questions for all of them, get it done by Saturday so I at least have a day to forward it to people. I doubt we're going to have a speaker right away on Monday, but just in case somebody was available, I want to make sure they have at least 24 hours plus to look over the questions. So that's that. And I think that's it for announcements and updates. And I will look into the quizzes as soon as I can afterwards. And if there's any problem, I can't explain, I'll extend the deadline so you guys aren't penalized. So I tried to go with. I don't think I've done an actual markup for entertainment yet, have I? I didn't think I had. I did consumer products. I didn't think I had actually shown markups for entertainment. I used an example when I was doing the lecture. But I've got entertainment. Marlise, you're the only one doing education, but you shouldn't be penalized just because you're the only one focused on that. So you, Macy, you're the only one focused on real estate, but I went ahead and didn't want to neglect you either. So you're in here, and then Nancy with delivery services. Okay, so I'll start with Nancy. The markups are all pretty mild here. This is probably the easiest one for me to do markups on. So the only comments I had here, and these, even though I'm only going through a few in class right now, the same theme is going to be repeated. I just wanted for the factors that are 15% in particular, tell me why. Give me another sentence saying why it's less important than the actual delivery capability. You've given delivery 30 and technology and transportation 20, and then employees and shipping costs 15%. Just give me an additional sentence saying why it's less important than the other ones, and that's it. You don't have to say why this. You pretty much justified why all of them are important. Just the ones that are rated lower, give me another sentence saying why they're not as important as the other things. Okay? Otherwise, everything's fine. I'd like another sentence or so of detail compared to some of your classmates. It's a little light, but just one more sentence in the boxes. I like the numbers and everything. I just wanted a little bit more description. Same thing for FedEx, and then this is actually really good. I had no comments here except I think originally you had some extra spaces in here. And I actually wanted to just take out the extra spaces for the formatting so it looks visually nicer. But the information that you used is fine. Okay? So that's that. Any questions? Anyone else? Okay. So that's that. Education, Marlise. So again, the stuff that you rated at 15%, give me another sentence saying why it's less important than top quality teachers. I can imagine why, but I don't want to have to imagine. I want you to tell me. Okay? I think Your descriptions here are okay. They're actually about the same amount as Nancy's. So I tell you what, every other box give me a little bit more information, okay? These are fine. And then as far as leveraging international competitiveness is concerned, I wasn't sure what this footnote belonged to, but like put it next to the information it belongs to rather than in front of leveraging, in front of the title. And then I like the information that you put, but for two of the boxes, it's not really what I wanted. So it's difficult for schools because they're public entities. It's different. But in this case, I'd like to know something about how they offer different types of transportation for students depending on where in the district they live. That's a better example of like tailoring location, like specific operations. So usually it's about focusing on how you're tailoring things for local customers, or where you're doing manufacturing locally as opposed to shipping a long way around the world. But in your case, a more realistic example would be what are the different transportation options depending on where students live in the district. Okay, put that there. Your value chain improvement seems fine, and then since like normally this box is telling me something about where the company makes more or less money, like different regions or different countries in the world. But again, since it's basically a budget that comes from the state and the federal government, in your case, I'd like to know something about the top 3 ethnic groups that are actually in the Santa Barbara School District, because in your case, it's more about what are the populations that school district is delivering value for, more so than where does the money come from, since it's not a for-profit entity. Okay. Otherwise, I think it's fine. Questions from anybody about that so far? Okay. Entertainment. Samantha. This all looks great. You did give a little bit of justification here, less important than talent in our assets. So that's all I wanted, was just some kind of statement as to why the lower numbers were lower. Great. No changes needed. Again, I went in, you can't see them in this version, but in the version that I send out to you, there's some tiny grammatical changes that I made, but basically the information is fine. And then this is the only other thing I wanted you to change. This is cool, the sort of tailoring of the language to the local environment. Like what you put here is more about like currency rate differences.
Yeah, I couldn't find
but
it.
it's good. It at least tells me something about markets around the world where like there's more or less profitability. In this case, because of interest rate differences, not because of like the largest amount of revenues. What I wanted first and foremost is for people to tell me what are the countries or parts of the country, if it's just a national organization, where the company makes the most amount of revenues. But more broadly speaking, it's about which regions are more and less profitable, and this at least tells me something about ones that are less profitable, so that's good.
Do you want me to change it?
No, it's fine.
Because, I could change it to the Maleficent film did better in, Spain and Mexico than they did here.
Actually, just make a space and add that. Okay? And if you end up running out of space on the page, basically the hard times have meant the important thing is the interest rate differences. You could probably chop out a sentence or two here if you needed space. The thing I did want you to change though, this is nice that Disneyland is opening like Hong Kong Disney.
Their studio isn't exactly moving, so I'm like.
No, but what I wanted to know is what have they learned from the folks in China? What is something operationally or about the way that they approach customers? What's different in China?
Okay.
It's similar to this, but instead of what are they doing to tailor things, what is a good practice that the folks in Hong Kong are doing that is an example for the rest of the company? Okay, so that I do want you to change. This one, I like what you have. You can add the other information because it's also relevant, but the only thing I want you to change is here. Okay, so as a more generalized example for everyone, this should be about something the company has learned from a non-headquarters location. Okay, so in this case, that wasn't what I wanted, but in like for those of you who are not in entertainment for some reason and are not Sam, the point of the discussion here is this box should contain something that the company has learned from a non-headquarters location. So Marlies, for example, actually had information in there about how school districts in Europe sort of organize the calendar year differently, I think, wasn't it? So that those school districts aren't actually a part of the Santa Barbara school system, but if you're talking about a small organization, you can also say something about a partner or a similar kind of firm in another part of the country or the world that is doing a best practice for that industry. You know, if it's a large company, there's plenty of learning that goes on within the company. If it's a relatively small organization, to use Marlise's example, you can also tell me something that organization has learned from another similar kind of organization in another part of the world or another part of the country. Okay? So that's that. Sam, any more questions?
Did there have to be anything under location advantages? Because it seemed like other people, your
Right here?
examples actually had stuff right there.
No.
Okay.
No. I haven't been clear on that. I mean, technically, the way I originally envisioned this was like you would put some title here, like local language differences. You know?
Do you want that?
No. Like it's so inconsistent across papers that what's in this box is important to me.
Okay.
What's in this box for this tool is not important.
Okay.
The original idea I had was that you're basically summarizing all of this with, you know, a couple words here.
Okay.
That was the idea I had originally, but I wasn't clear about it. So as long as this information is correct, I don't care what you do with the other column. Okay? Other questions from Sam or anybody else? Okay. Close that one. And Katie. Same thing. I do like how you specifically said this is rated low because I kind of disagree with you that R&D isn't important, but
Well, for a theme park, I mean, even when I go around places, I don't see a whole lot of, well, not a lot of change. So maybe, like, I know certain parks are actually bringing in new parks, but it's rare.
mm-hmm.
So that's why I didn't really see if it.
I think it's fine the way you expressed it because you actually said the reason why I don't think it's important is because they don't change the rides and attractions very often. There are actually like lots of people sitting like, you know, behind the scenes coming up with what could be the best new roller coaster ever. And it's important that they do that, but because of the fact that it doesn't change very often, I like what you wrote.
Yeah,
I think in the actual industry of like parks, whether it's zoos or like amusement parks, I think R&D is probably more important than you think. But for the purposes of this, it's fine. Okay? Just as an aside, I think although R&D although you don't see changes very often, it takes a long time and a lot of money to like come up with a better mousetrap. And like if you don't have, like, honestly, for me as an amusement park visitor, like I've never been very interested in Disneyland, for example, because the roller coasters just pale in comparison to what it's like at Kings Island back in, like, Kings Island's got real roller coasters. Disneyland is more about like the Disney brand experience than it is about the thrill of the rides. But if they had like a brand new ride that would really like kick your butt, I might actually go.
You've heard about what they're adding to their Animal Kingdom and Disney World? You know the Avatar movie with the blue people?
Uh-huh.
They're adding in Pandora, literally all the plants in the environment.
Ooh.
And
Cool.
they're gonna have rides to where you could ride those flying things.
Oh,
Remember what
very
they're
cool.
called.
I don't know, but you have to plug your like like ponytail into the ears of the flying thing. Remember?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, cool. So I think it's a little bit more important, just as an aside to you, but for the purposes of this class, it's fine the way you did. Okay. Scrolling down, I like what you did for Disney and San Diego Zoo. No comments or problems. The only thing different. This is great that you're talking kind of about who the different shareholders are.
Yeah, the
But-
first and second, or the second and third one, I was having a little bit of a hard time.
This is actually okay. Although like, technically, I would have liked to see something here about what Euro Disney is doing that's innovative, rather than like a park here in the States. But at least because there's different Disney parks, you're talking about an innovation that came at a particular park. So that's good. I like that. Here, again, I wanted something about like different countries in the world that are like more or less revenues. You know, so where does I imagine, for example, like if you couldn't find an actual like citation by looking through ProQuest, you know, there's a Euro Disney. There's not like a Russia Disney right now. There's not like South Africa Disney. There's going to be a Hong Kong Disney, evidently.
Yeah, the China one.
But
So that raised like the culture and work and all that other.
perhaps if you keep to make as little change as possible, and like for everybody in the class as an example, like sometimes you can't find perfect information in the databases, but you can find stuff that's sort of relevant. In this case, the fact that Disney is making a like Hong Kong Disney means that they're gonna like there's a lot of potential in the Chinese market, and they're gonna start making more money there. So if you just add a sentence here below, and just say the fact like Disney's main markets are currently North America and Europe for amusement parks. The fact that they are opening a Hong Kong Disneyland means that China will bring in more revenues in the future, period. And that like then focuses this on what I wanted. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So you can keep this information, just add a sentence explaining how it tells me something about larger and smaller markets.
Okay.
Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions from you, Kate?
No.
Katie, or anybody else? Okay, moving on. Maria? Oh. Same thing. Give me another sentence or so explaining why the two things that are 10% are less important than the sales and marketing, R&D, and IT systems. Otherwise, it's fine. I made some grammatical, like small changes that you can see when you open the Word document, like not in this format on the screen. Otherwise, that's all fine. And then I like the information that you put in all three boxes. So the only thing I wanted is make this font consistent. This is Times New Roman 11. This is Times New Roman 12. Please make it all Times New Roman 12. It's a small thing, but it looks better for presenting to people later. So expansion of theme park presence in Florida. This is great because we're talking about a new local attraction that they're opening up. The fact that Universal Studios has different locations, and the Hollywood location has, even though Universal's headquarters are right next door to Universal Studios Hollywood, because there are different locations of theme park, what they're doing about emissions and about recycling is a good example of how one in particular park is doing that. So nice. And then you're actually talking more about types of businesses rather than countries, but that's okay too. If you can find me information about, theme parks bring in, what did we say? Units operating improved. So what I would actually, I didn't write it down here, but What would be helpful is to tell me how much does that represent of the total Disney pie, of the total Universal Studios pie. So if you just, when you're doing your financial analysis this week, you'll find like a total revenues number for Universal as a company. Tell me how much Universal Studios represents of the total revenues, and put it, just space, next sentence. This represents X percent of all revenues for Universal. And then it tells me whether theme parks are a big or a small piece of revenue for Universal. I'm not sure, actually. It could be big, it could be small, but that would be interesting for me to know. I didn't write it down, but please put that in here, okay? Cool. Okay, any other questions, Maria, or other people about that example? Okay. Bagat. First of all, please make all the font black.
I don't know why every time I copy it, they go back to
It's okay. Just make sure for the final version you highlight it all and like click black.
whenever I don't send you the whole thing, I send you like the expert. I don't know why I always do it back to blue. I have no idea.
I don't know, but
I'll
yeah, I mean, if it still is a problem, like, I don't know, come by my office or talk to ITS and figure out why it is that like a certain version keeps counteracting what you told it to do. But if you fix it and the next time it looks fine, then no problem. Again, please tell me more about why the 10 and 15% ones are less important than the others. Give me another sentence each there. This is all fine except for the font. So other than changing that all black, it's fine. And then you actually didn't do this one. That's okay. Can you, like, basically, for anybody that missed one, if you email me what's missing, so like Anna, I didn't get the business model part, so just email that to me. I will integrate it in and send you back my comments on that part, and then, like, you'll have everything you need. So just email it to me sometime this week, next week, whenever you can, okay? Cool. Any questions? Any questions from the rest of the group? Okay. I'm going to not save that. And then last of all, no, not last of all. We got two. No. Yes, last of all, because I'm going down, not up. Macy, real estate. Keller Williams and Coldwell Banker. Interesting companies, both. So again, yours, I was more thorough because this is where I started, and as time went on, I got faster in my explanations. I actually should have gone from the bottom up when I was doing my explanations today. Basically, so you've got 30% here, 25, 15, 15, 15. Like, I love the detail that you gave on why these things are important at all. The only thing I wanted was something here saying, why is training 5% less important than the talent of the agents, basically? And then why are knowledge of forms, software, and advertising, again, 10% less important than training? It doesn't even have to be a complete sentence. Just tell me something in each of these. Why is this less important than agents? Otherwise, it's fine. Okay? That actually should start on another page. Like, the formatting on this screen looks weird, but it was fine in the version that I sent. Like, that I saved on my drive, and as soon as I'm done with everybody else's, that I'll send to you. And then, so here, first of all, this is fine. International company. Basically, they're partnering with new agents in South Africa and Indonesia. So that tells me something about how they're going to market and selling in new locations. Good job. I like it. Here, this is interesting. Select AdWorks as an approved vendor. Did some particular location suggest that? I mean, there's like Keller Williams headquarters, But Keller Williams is basically made up of individual agents all over the country and all over the world. So is there somebody in particular within that network that suggested this, or was it a headquarters decision? If it was, then I want to know something that one of the individual agents, or like, the office here in Bakersfield, the office in San Francisco said, hey, we're having great success, like, doing this kind of marketing. Everybody else should try it too. So that's what I wanted here. If this is indeed a suggestion that a particular location had, tell me which location it was. If that was actually something that came from the top down, tell me something else in this box that a particular location did that's a good suggestion for marketing. Or, when we choose the houses that we represent, like, we found that we find better quality properties if we do this. Like something that a local location, that's kind of like repetitive, local location, that a particular local area or group of agents did that was good for the whole company. Make sense? And then for the last one, this is great that North America is the biggest market. I figured it was. That doesn't really tell me anything I didn't know. So please just add a like space, another sentence. What are the next two largest markets? Canada? Europe? Like, is it Germany in particular in Europe, or UK? Is it actually South Africa and Indonesia now? What's number 2 and 3? Otherwise, you're good. Anybody else? Mason, do you have questions about that? It's pretty straightforward with my markups this week. And anybody else have questions about my markups? Okay, so as tying things up, and then I'm actually done for the day, unless anybody really wants to stay later. The tying things up, I'm working like mad to get everything set up for you guys, and I usually deal with stuff each quarter, like in terms of what has the deadline that has to be dealt with first. And in order to get your guest speakers lined up, I have to be able to send you that email now so that you can send me the questions back this weekend, so that I can schedule, I think it's 5 or 6 speakers over the course of the next month. And if I don't do that this week, then it'll be too late to organize all the logistics. So that's coming first. Next was making sure that I have enough examples to show you guys corrections here in class. After that, I need to go through and mark up the rest of your cases, which I'll do over the course of the week, and then I'll email all the drafts like I did last 2 weeks. And then what I may actually do is flip-flop, and I will make further progress on your LinkedIn profiles and your professional development plan markups before I do the rest of the markups on the cases. Because the markups on the cases are important, but in terms of the project which is getting the least attention and is the most important, it's your profiles and professional development plans. So as long as I get you that information before the end of the quarter, as far as logistics in your grade, it doesn't matter. But it's really important to me to get you that information, and I want to get it done as soon as I can, because the sooner your profile looks different, the sooner you start reaching out and doing the networking activities that you need to do for your career, the sooner you're done with those activities and you can move on to the next one. So I will try my best to get those done as soon as possible. I'm working hard on it. And I think that's it. I also, little things like checking and making sure that the quizzes are working. Following up on questions like Jeff had for me. Jeff sent me an email about like a particular weird thing about his financial analysis. Like the podcasts that I said I would, like new podcasts I said I'd put together, Lily, and like post. I have not forgotten any of that. There's only 24 hours in a day. And for the other class, I was actually meeting with, at a meeting with the Downtown Business Association yesterday about projects for the other class. So that took an hour and a half, and then phone calls with other companies to set up the projects for the small business class. Another 2 hours. Unfortunately, all of a sudden the day's gone. But I promise you, I have not forgotten anything. I'm working diligently on it. If anybody is feeling worried, antsy, or otherwise concerned, just let me know, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I will look into the quizzes as soon as possible. That's all I got. If you guys don't have anything else, let's call it a day. Huh?
I was gonna say.
Would that be my code? The
Um,
6-digit?
7. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Oh, look cool! Look, it's 2012 NAICS. There's like a new.
They
new
had like a
NAICS.
2012, 2014, or no, not 2014, 2004, and like a 2007.
Basically, the NAICS organization every